Is everything in order, Ollie? Have we got everything we need? Probably not. But at least you're up there, aren't you, directing the whole procedure. So let's see how we get on, shall we? You can try and stay awake as well, that might be helpful. Oh, leave off too. I think he spotted the new catalogue. You can look at the front cover, Ollie, but you can't look inside just yet. Hi there, it's Anne of Rosie Duck Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I'm back to share a little thank you or a stroke note card with you, but initially I just want to share some Stampin' Up news with you. So the first thing is about the Everything is Rosie product medley. Now, unfortunately the printer was playing up slightly when I printed this morning, so it's a bit of a rubbish picture. But if you head over to my blog, which I will put a link to that on the front of the video, there's lots of details and some decent pictures on there for you to have a look at. It's worth mentioning that I've actually changed my blog recently in the last few weeks, so it seems to be a bit of a, dare I say, more professional layout. Probably not a word that actually goes with me, but if you go and check it out, you can see it does run quite nicely. And there is a whole blog post. In fact, I think there's 2 blog posts about the Everything is Rosie product medley. So one of them is about what it actually is, and then the other one gives some various ideas from Stampin' Up about how the products can be used. So if you've not come across it, it's a new concept really from Stampin' Up. So it's not actually a kit, but it's a collection of coordinating products. I think you've got a rival there for your job, Ollie. That's it. If you can keep yourself nicely washed, it's always a good thing. Turn up for the interview looking like you want the job. Right, we digress as always. So as I say, it's a new concept from Stampin' Up, not a kit in itself, but a whole collection of coordinating products. And the theme of Rosie is sort of running through with the aspect of rose gold, which is, I have to say, absolutely beautiful. And I have to say, I don't have any rose gold jewellery, but I would love some. Yes, that is a hint. Are you listening, Mr. Cameraman? Okay, and we might have to work on that one. But yeah, rose gold is I have to say beautiful, and that is basically the theme that is running through this. So just to run through it, it costs £74, and for that you get a photopolymer stamp set with 18 stamps in it. You get 10 dies, you get 48 sheets of 6x6 double-sided designer series paper, and that's one of the paper stacks. You also get 8 sheets of 6x6 rose gold foil paper, some printed die cut sheets, some rose gold die cuts. You get 4 sheets, 2 each of 2 designs, some rose gold adhesive backed mirror embellishments, some melon mambo, which again is another one of my favourite colours, I have to say, ruched ribbon, and then you've got a night of navy stroke rose gold metallic edged ribbon, and you finish that all off with a pot of rose gold shimmer paint. What seriously is not to love, I have to say. Now that is available only during the period of the 1st to the 31st of May, so it can only be ordered during the month of May, but the proviso is there also that it is while stocks last. I have just checked before coming on camera to make sure that everything it is still available to order, and it is, but I would say that if it is something that you actually would like to add to your crafting supplies, then don't delay, do put your order in as soon as possible. So that's the first thing. The other big news is something that is happening tomorrow, and that is the Paper Pumpkin Hugs from Shelley kit. Now that will be available from tomorrow to order, and again that is on a while stocks last basis. And now the cost of that kit is just £20. If you're not familiar with Paper Pumpkin, again there is a blog post that I did, I think it was yesterday, which is on there, so it gives you lots of background details about what Paper Pumpkin is all about. Just briefly, it's not available in the UK, it's only available in America and parts of Canada, and it's a monthly subscription kit. And the difference with it is that when you get your kit and it arrives in the post, as it would over there, you've got no idea what you're going to get, so there's this element of surprise, of what you're going to get to make for that month. And the same is true of this one-off kit that has been made available throughout Stampin' Up's other global markets. There's a little teaser because we were given one of the make and take, one of the cards for one of our make and takes on stage back in April. And I will just share that with you. So it's a pre-printed card, and literally there's a stamp set in there and all the things that you need to make 12 different cards. There will be 3 each of 4 different designs. So that is the only one that I have seen. So when I order my kit tomorrow, I won't know what's going to be in there until it arrives with me. Shelley Gardner, who is the board chair and co-founder of Stampin' Up, she's actually teamed up to create this limited edition kit, and it very much reflects her style of crafting, her style of what she likes. I'm just going to use my notes to quote. It's a Shelley inspired nature focused kit. There's a video on my blog, and have a look at that, but it's a bird's nest, flowers and birds, which we can see that is on here. So it's going to be really interesting to see what is on there. So I'm getting signs already that I'm babbling on. So as I say, I'll put the links to my blog there, so go and check that out. Now, according to my cameraman, I'm not telling you exactly what I should be telling you, although in my brain I think I have. So I'm going to repeat myself. So maybe this is going to be the first time you've heard it, or maybe I'm literally going to repeat myself. Just to be clear about this kit, Paper Pumpkin is available on a monthly subscription basis, but only in the US and parts of Canada. This Hugs from Shelley kit is literally a one-off, and it's being made available in the UK and the other Stampin' Up global markets. So it's a one-off, and it is available to buy from tomorrow, and it will be available on a while stocks last basis. Is that good? Right, I'm glad we cleared that up. So let's do some crafting. Let's see how I can mess this up. So it's always a bittersweet time of year, I have to say, because obviously it's exciting because we're looking forward to getting I've got the new catalogue, but we're getting excited to be able to share the new products with you and to get to use them. And I can say there are some really lovely new products in there, but it's bittersweet because we have to say goodbye to other things. So I'm using something that's current. I'm also saying goodbye to one of the 2017-2019 in colours, which is the Fresh Fig. And this is literally my very last piece of Fresh Fig cardstock. So quite a poignant moment for me. I have to say the 2017-19 colours, I've liked most of them. The pink, the powder pink, I wasn't over keen on, but everything else I really love. So I am going to miss them. But I've teamed that up with I think that's the Floral Romance Speciality Designer Series paper, which again will be going. But I've teamed it up with the Butterfly Gala punch and stamp set. So that was released in the spring summer catalogue, but as you're probably aware, there's been a bit of an issue getting the punches. So I'm pleased to say that now the punch is in, and you can buy the stamp set and the punch as a bundle. Yeah, okay, I've actually forgotten the stamp set. So I also forgot the ink pads, so there you go. Just as well I made that trip back to the craft room. So the Butterfly Gala stamp set and the coordinating punch. So I've got my basic piece of white cardstock, and that is, as usual, 8 by 6, scored at 4 on the long side to give me my card base. I'm just making that fold nice and crisp with my bone folder. Now that is going to be my front of the card, and that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Yes, I did bring the snail, there we go. Had myself worried there for a moment. I've got the snail in various aspects of running out, and that's just run out. There's not that much left on this either, but so I was actually quite prepared here. I've even got a spare one. You're impressed, aren't you? That's a lot. So I'm just centralising that, and then we're going to, it's unusual for me, I tend to make cards that way, but we're going that way this time. And I need a piece of the vellum that's out of the wonderful Romance Designer Series paper, and I've cut that actually at 5 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I just sort of felt that, as this was the last time I was going to use fresh fig, I wanted to see some of it around the border of the card. Now on this type of vellum, I don't know if it's going to show up, but you've got a right side and you've also got a duller side. So if you're using vellum and it's got a pattern on it, don't do what I did this morning and stick glue on the wrong side. So just double check yourself. So that's the good side, that's the dull side. Now again, glue of any description will show up through vellum, but I'm going to be covering up the centre with this embellishment here. So I'm just going to stick the glue on the area that isn't going to be seen, and then I'm going to stick that in the centre. Now, as I mentioned, it was my very last piece of fresh fig, and I didn't have enough of it to do the inside of the card as well, so I've gone with a coordinating pear pizzazz, so that coordinates back into the vellum there, and that's at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Stick that in the middle. Not sure what that is. Now you may be aware that there's been Stampin' Up are discontinuing the current stamping trimmer. It's going to be replaced by something else, but it's not yet available, so I've got no further details on that. But you may also be aware that if you've got one of the stamping trimmers, that the blades are not available at the moment. Ultimately they will be being discontinued as well, but there is some hope that there will be some to buy at some stage before that happens. And I literally just got an update this morning on that, not a particularly helpful one, only that to say that they are still working on it and that they will provide us with some additional information as soon as they can. I'm mentioning that because I have to say I have got some spares, but I'm noticing my cardstock there is looking a bit ragged, and I'm trying to hang on to my blades, but I think I'm going to have to succumb and actually change that. But again, I will provide updates on my blog as and when I've got any further information myself. So that's the inside of my my card, and I've actually cut that as usual at 3.5 by 5.5. I have to say it's very hot and sunny today. It's like a greenhouse in here. Yeah, you're falling asleep as well, aren't you? So in this one I've used this little solid stamp of a little butterfly, and I've used that on the envelope and on the card. So I thought I might try something different on this one. So I've used that one on here, and I've also used this one, which is what I'm going to use on this card. So let's take that stamp out. One thing I didn't say with the kit that's becoming available tomorrow is the fact that normally with an all-inclusive kit, and that is all-inclusive, you've got everything is pre-cut, so you're ready to go, and you've even got some stamping dimensionals, I believe, in there. But normally with an all-inclusive kit, they do provide you with one of the little acrylic blocks, so not the standard one, it's usually a thin one. In this instance, they've decided not to include that, so to be able to complete the stamping on the kit, you'll need a D block, which is one of these, and that's priced at £8. So if you haven't got a D block, or a stamping block of that size, which is basically 3 by 3, if you've not got that, you will need that to complete that kit. Personally, I think it's a good idea, because most of us, if we're into crafting, we've got stamp blocks, and as handy as those little flat acrylic blocks are, I think these are so much easier because you can just get a nice grip on them, and it's meaning that they can keep the cost of the kit down, so it is literally just £20. A D block is £8, so it would cost you £28. Then you've got the D block forever and a day. But if you've got it, you haven't got to buy it, so you're not spending out for something you don't need. So personally, I think that's a good way forward. Whether that's going to be adopted with everything, I don't know. But as I say, I think that's quite good personally. So these stamps are actually stuck together, but I just want this one, just for my inside of my card. So I'm taking it and I'm just literally placing it on the corner, so that I'm not getting any of this big butterfly stamp on it. Hopefully. And I'm just going to turn that around and do that the same on the other side. I have to say, with fresh fig, if you get it on your fingers, it's very easy to then manage to put it on everything else you're working on. So I'm doing my best. As we all know, my best isn't always good enough. So again, I used the little block, this one, on the envelope on that card. I'm just going to use the same stamp set on the envelope. I'm going to go mad, I'm going to stick one over here as well. So that's my envelope. I'm not going to put that away. So I've already done this before I've come on camera, but I just want to show you what I've done. So I'm going to stamp this just onto a small piece of Whisper White cardstock. Stick that up there, and hopefully nobody puts their fingers or their paws on it. Oh, so almost farewell fresh fig. Now I've got a blender pen here, and what I've done is I've literally just picked out what I fancied to colour in, so I haven't coloured the whole thing in. I'm just gonna do this very roughly because I'm not using this one. So this is going to be very rough. Let's just do this bit over here. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. And I'm actually going to be using this like a blender pen. And with the darker inks, they do seem to blend very well using this. So you actually finish up getting a layer of pink. It's picking up the darkness of that ink, and it's then blending it across the bits that haven't actually got any ink on. So that's that. Sticking the Wink of Stella in the wrong place. So the fact you're colouring in may not be that fantastic in the darker bits. By the time you've stuck some Wink of Stella over it, it really doesn't matter. And I would do the same then with the smaller one, which I'm not going to do on camera because I'm not going to use that, but I don't know if you're going to pick that up. No. So that's how I did the butterflies. Now that's not me, that's you. So let me cut that out. All happens when we do videos, isn't it? If it's not doorbells, it's phones going off. Now, I could have done with this being slightly wider. Let's be wise after the event. When it's a bit wider, you've got a bit more leverage out here to play with and move it in the right position. If only I had it a bit wider, it wouldn't take this long. That will do, I think. Let's go with it. Right. So, I need to stick this onto the inside of my card. And then I've pre-stamped this little note here, this little stamp. I've done that on Whisper White with Fresh Fig, and I've cut those out using the stitched shapes framelit. So there's the oval of those two. So that was there's 4 of the ovals, and that was that one. So not the smallest, the next one, and then that one. I'm happy to say that these are carrying over into the new catalogue, so that was a relief because I do use these a lot, I have to say. So I'm just going to stick that onto here. Now, if you've not got a big shot, you've not got the facility to cut dies out, then the other idea I did come up with is that you could use, for example, the label punch. So I've stamped that's on Pear Pizzazz on with fresh fig and fresh fig on Whisper White. So let's just have a look at that. So that would work just on some stamping dimensionals, or you could put that on there. So if you've not got a big shot, if it's not something you're planning on getting, then have a look at some punches, because they do work in a similar way. You can use them to add your sentiments and then add a little bit of height to your cards. So I'm going to stick that on with some stamping dimensionals. You right up there, Ollie? Is it that boring? Is it? Got a hair sticking out of your eye there. So I think I'm actually going to go back to this one, because I'm not terribly happy with the way that one cut out, and it was my fault because I didn't do it on a big enough piece of paper. So I'm just going to finish colouring this bit in. It's a good job I didn't do it too roughly. Need a bit of wiggle room when you're trying to line up a punch. So whilst it's a good idea to use the offcuts of card, maybe think about the size that you're using. Mental note to self, that's what I should do. Let's see how we get on with this. Is this any better? Probably not. No, it's not much better at all, is it? Maybe just a tad better. Ideally, you need a little bit wider so you can just manoeuvre your butterflies, but they will do. I'm happier with them. So what I did on that one was I added a bit of colour, because you've got this white bit in the middle here. So I'm just going to grab a bit of ink using my Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to colour that in. Just looked a little bit odd that it was this big white body bit in the middle. Just my opinion, but there you go. So let's do the same with this one. So put the ink away, and I'm going to stick that on. I'm going to fold it using my bone folder, so just down the middle, just folding it back so it's lifted its wings, and I'm going to attach that using a mini stamping dimensional. I'm just going to stick that over here. Helps if you take the other side off though. My tip of the day, take the top off or the back off the other side of the stamping dimension. So we'll have the butterfly there. We've just raised his wings up again, her wings, and this one I'm going to stick on with a glue dot. So again, I'm just bending it in the middle so it's got some movement in the wings, and then taking my butterfly to the glue dot, I'm just going to stick that on there. there we have the finished card. So very similar cards, just different butterflies. I have to say that sentiment is really good, the little note, because I've had a situation in the last couple of weeks where I've needed cards for all sorts of occasions, and I didn't actually have one. Well, I had some ready, but some that I've made on previous videos or for my blog or whatever, and they've been really handy. So to have those in the background is very useful. Oh, I've got 30 minutes, right? Okay, so the tablet could cut out, in which case I'll stick the videos together. I've just got a couple of other things I wanted to say. Obviously, a lot of that is now going, the fresh fig and this designer series paper. So I've done a similar card here, and I've used products that will still be around in the new catalogue. So we've got Grapefruit Grove, which is part of the 2018-2020 colours, the Falling Leaves embossing folder, and Grapefruit Grove ink. So this is all current, and you can carry on making that into the coming catalogue. What I will be doing, not quite sure when, but in the next few days I will do a blog post, so I'll give you all the measurements of that as well. So very similar card, but I just wanted to bring it up to date to sort of help you to appreciate that it's not all over just because these colours are going, but we can carry on having a lot of fun with the punch and the stamp set in the coming year. On that note, I don't normally revisit things that are no longer available, but I am aware that during Sale-A-Bration there was the butterfly paper, and that did some of that coordinated with the punch. Unfortunately, because the punch was so popular, it came and it went, and I never did actually get to share with you my YouTube projects because it seemed a bit pointless at the time, showing you how to make things that nobody could get their hands on. But I just want to revisit that, because if you did choose that butterfly paper, and you've been sitting there waiting for the punch, let me just, you obviously didn't get the paper, Ollie, so you're not bothered, is that right? I just wanted to just share this with you. So if you had the paper and you've been waiting for the punch, you can now get the punch. And these are just a couple of the ideas that I came up with during Sale-A-Bration, which I never really got to share with you. So this is the black and white butterfly paper, and that coordinates with the big butterfly. So I'm going to do this very randomly, but it does coordinate with that. So that is basically what I've used to make that card. So very basic, black on monochrome, very effective though, I have to say, although I say so myself. So that was that. The little butterfly coordinates with this little the little butterflies. Again, there's enough substance in the paper that the butterflies will bend. So although it's only designer series paper, you can still have your butterflies flying. And the final one was that one, so that was this paper. So Grapefruit Grove, the gingham designer series paper, the paper stack that is in the spring summer catalogue. I have to say I'm going to miss that. And that went really well with this piece of the paper. Just pick out a random butterfly. So yeah, it's a shame that we haven't been able to sort of really use this particularly in tutorials and things like that. But there you go. I just wanted to, as I say, revisit, because if you have got this paper, there is nothing stopping you using it to your heart's content now with the punch. So again, I will do a little blog post on that. That one has been heat embossed with the Grapefruit Grove embossing powder, which, as far as I can see in the new catalogue, is not going to be there. So that's a bit of a shame. I've enjoyed using those, but lots of other choice of embossing powders to be had. So one final thing, I can't show the inside at the moment, but I can show you the front of it. I'll be sending these out towards the end of May, so if you would like one, then please use the contact me link at the front of the video, and I will be more than happy to send you a copy. So usual links as usual on the front of the video, and I will be back very soon. I'm going to be going through the paper pumpkin kit when I get mine, making those cards up, but I'll also start to share with you some of the new products that we can look forward to using. So until then, thanks ever so much for joining me, and I will see you very soon. Bye.